Good morning, traders. Welcome back to another live stream. If you're new, my name is Zach. This is Real Deal Futures. Before I even read the disclaimer, I will excuse my voice. Please excuse my voice. I'm sick. Sucks. I hate getting sick. Doesn't happen too often, but definitely wore myself down over the last couple weeks. So here I am trading live with you guys, but I'm going to sound like a frog and probably cough a few times. So I got feedback coming from somewhere. Let's jump into it. Trading's risky. Most traders lose money. If you trade, you're probably going to lose all of your money. It's a silly thing to do. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't provide financial advice. Nothing I say or do here or anywhere else is a suggestion or recommendation to do anything at all. This is for entertainment purposes. I'm an idiot yapping on YouTube for fun. Do your own research. Make your own trading decisions. Read CFTC Rule 4.41 on simulated trading, which is what this is, even in funded prop firm accounts, and the affiliate and partnership disclaimer that says I stand to make money from links and codes in my content, like Top 1 Futures, code RDF, Bookmap, and others. Now that we got that out of the way, we have a 7-pack of straight to funded Sim Pro 150K accounts loaded up, ready to take a look at trading these all-time highs, man. Wild markets overnight. We're going to jump into some analysis here. Let me just make sure you guys can see everything. We'll throw the banner up. This is Top 1 Futures with Project X if you want to check it out. Link is about to be in the chat, and then we will run through some analysis. Good morning, guys. What is going on? What's up, YouTube? What's up, Kick? What's up, X? What is happening? Hey, just as a heads up, because I know I've been getting a lot of people on Twitter, on X. I think there's probably a dozen of you on there right now. What is it? Yeah, showing 10 on my 10 and then 12. There's a gnarly lag on X. There's like a lot of latency. It's not low latency on X, just as a heads up. So if you want to hop in my YouTube or Kick, which is much less latency, I'm going to send you this link real quick because I tested it this morning. I always like to make sure you guys have the best experience, right? You have, the best access to me for free. It's free across all of these, so you could take your pick. But I'm going to throw this in here. I'm going to throw the Kick, my Kick link and YouTube. Either one of these, I haven't tested Kick versus YouTube. I am curious to see that. But either one of these is going to be significantly less delay and latency than what you're watching right now here on X, which is kind of important since we are trading live and watching the markets together, right? You want as close to real time as you can, not multiple seconds behind. So anyway, do with that as you wish. I'll continue to stream on X because you guys continue to hop on there, but I did notice it today. I was able to test it across two different people's streams, looking at what was coming through on YouTube, which I have ultra low latency selected on YouTube, versus X at the same time. And X is considerably delayed. But I'll have to test Kick versus YouTube just out of curiosity, so I can always make that recommendation. So selling off right back down to VWAP here. Pretty gnarly. Pretty gnarly, guys. Again, if you just hopped on late, I am feeling like trash, hence my voice sounding like I'm smoking a bunch of Marlboro menthols. It's not fun being sick, but here we are trading. Jacked up on caffeine, seeing what we can do. So as you can see, we're cracking out of this consolidation here, right? We did not continue selling off yesterday. We pulled all the way back up, climbed to the upside, and then this overnight session, can't really see it on the daily, so let's hop to like the 5 minute. That'll be helpful. Here's session changeover, right? 1800 for Eastern Standard Time. That's 6 p.m. We chopped around, nearing that day changeover, right? Nearing midnight. Big pop to the upside. On NVIDIA, I believe that was the main driver behind that. Conversation on kind of what they got going on, and then continual drive to the upside. So really, really bullish. Right, really bullish after this London session. We maintained this bullish structure. A little bit choppy here for the morning. Didn't give me the setups that I wanted, and then we just continued to drive higher once we did finally pick a direction. NVIDIA news, whatever we want to call it, right? I don't care too much about fundamentals. We'll talk about the 8:30 a.m. News. Popped on that, really continued to the upside, and have just been driving higher. 8:30 a.m. Let's take a look at the financial news together. CPI was what we're looking at here. This is forexfactory.com. I'm not partnered or affiliated. It's just a site that I like to use. Eyes are trained on it for years of looking at it. Financial Juice is really solid too. I've been looking more at Financial Juice, but in any event, we had 8:30 a.m. news. The market popped on that pretty aggressively, right? We'll come back to the chart. We don't have much for the rest of the day. We got FOMC speakers. Any one of these guys can send the market, obviously, but nothing too crazy. No red folder, right? Nothing at 10 a.m. or anything like that. Tomorrow, we got some red folder at 8:30 again. Thursday, we got red folder 8:30 again. And then Friday, do we have 10 a.m.? Yeah, 10 a.m. at prelim, consumer sentiment and inflation expectations. Not that bad, orange folder. But we got some 8:30 news every day the rest of this week. So, coming back over to the chart, 8:30 a.m. Let's jump back to the 1 minute, zoom out so we can reset our VWAP. We talked about that a handful of times recently. 8:30 a.m. news popped to the upside, cracked the highs. We put our overnight high in here. So far, high of day for me on ES. This is the current ES contract. 63.43 even. Got my VWAP down at 63.30, which we looked like we are just retesting right now. And again, this presented multiple clean buying opportunities. Like I had to go back and look at this again yesterday, and I'm like, man, these ASFX boys, just pulling the clean VWAP, hold above VWAP, buy near it, hold for those pullbacks and continuations we're cleaning up. So, here we go, pulling back down to VWAP. It is an interesting line in the sand for sure. Do we continue to the downside? Do we finally break through, pull back down, start to pick up some liquidity, check out, see if we can find some buyers down below? Looks like we might want to. We have really started to top out here, right? Like, we topped out here in pre-market, pulled back to VWAP, blasted off, didn't follow through, right? Pulled back, chopped around, and then right into the open. We're looking bullish. And then now we're starting to sell right back off to VWAP. Do we find buyers right here around the 63.30s here in ES? Do we have to sell back off, back down towards yesterday's high? I don't think that would be unreasonable, right? This is a big, move for the overnight session, right? Very large move. I don't think it would be unreasonable at all to pull back a little bit on this and then maybe even continue to push for the day, right? We got a nice big bullish candle forming. Just to kind of look at price action again on the daily real quick before we zoom back in. I don't think there'd be anything wrong for this to, pull back down near this key area, right? Yesterday's high, down around all of these daily highs and even daily closes, right? And opens. I don't think that would be out of store for a retest down around that 6,300 level, maybe just 6,315s, down around there, and then a potential drive higher. Conversely, we might just erase this move, right? We could pull right back down on this, which we are doing right now, and say, you know what? That's great. All the buyers piled in, and now the market's going to, take everybody down lower. We're going to pull back down for some lower pricing, right? So we can go either way. As always, anything can happen. For right now, I'm looking to see if we do hold VWAP. If we don't hold VWAP, I would really not want to hit the short button. If I could avoid doing it. I don't want to short all-time highs today. I really have not been having a great time pressing the short button, and I've been pressing it more than I've been pressing the long button, and I've been losing more on the shorts than I have on the longs. Big surprise, right? U.S. indices traditionally go up. If you carry a long bias, you're traditionally going to do better. So you can make money both ways. But I'm going to be watching this to start to pull back. If we start to, we got some levels on Bookmap that I'm paying attention to. We are pretty thick all the way down to that 6,300 level. So so far breaking through VWAP, man, this is looking like we do want to sell off. Declining cumulative volume delta really dropped off like a cliff as soon as we opened up. Obviously, high volume comes in, and that really does start to change a cumulative volume delta if you have it anchored earlier on, which I do. So we're dropping off on this. On some volume here, right? You could even see it down here on the traditional volume. Ooh, yeah, this is a nice knife flower. Wow. Look at that. For those of you that watch news, we got any news coming in? I don't think it is. I think we're just going to get some volatility right here. So far for an aggressive long, I'd be looking to start trying it around the 63.10s. We got 150 on the book down there, and then 6,300. So I'd probably be, that was from trading MNQ. I'd probably be looking at this bad boy down into this prior day high level, back down around this area that we tested here multiple times, right into this area of high volume, right? This high volume node, looking at the 1 minute, this is just a, a very zoomed in picture. If I drop out to the 15 minute, just so we could take another look, down to the 6300s, right? Big area that we've transacted a whole bunch of volume at, right? This is our visible range volume profile. So we're displaying here, horizontally displayed volume. If you watch this and just look for some pattern recognition, you'll see that we like to return to these areas. Do we have to do that, or do we find buyers right here and take off? I don't know. I'm not buying it from up here just yet. This could be a great buying opportunity, and you run a wide stop. You say, dude, this is bullish all the way. Long America, bulls are in town. I'm not hitting the short button, so I'm going to press the long button on a pullback. Nothing wrong with that. For me, I'm going to be waiting for an aggressive area. I think this is taking everybody out right now, right? That was getting long up here into the open. I think we might pull back a little bit further. Conversely, if we start to really aggressively push to the upside, I'm going to look for continuation long today. Again, there's essentially, it's not creating an insane bias, right? I don't think that's a great way to describe the way that I understand the different nuances of price action and market structure every day. But what happens on the higher time frames, all the way down to the lower time frames, all the way down to what's going on in pre-market and into the open, helps me frame trade ideas, right? Yeah, pushing back off a little bit, but no, I think we come down lower on this. Still a very negative CVD. Wow, we dropped off heavy. Dropped off heavy, chat. All right, let's see. Let's see what we get. Yeah, so again, to the downside, potentially around those 6310s, if not the 6300s. We blast right back through VWAP all the way up to all-time highs, blasting off on the day, push that daily candle higher. This is going to look like the good buying opportunity, right? Sweep down below, VWAP, take everybody out, right down below this low. Probably a lot of stops getting popped right now. And now we continue the upside. Could absolutely happen. It's not aggressive enough as a pullback for me. It's just not. So I would have a stop loss where I want to have an entry, right? If I got long up here, I would still want to be long down here, right? I would want to be long all the way down here, right? I don't think this is breaking everything to the downside. I don't think it's invalidating anything. I think this is a beautiful pullback. I'd like to see that and then be looking long over here. So that's my play, chat. That's my play. But yeah, before I say what's up to you guys in the chat, the couple notes that I've been taking on my trading, I'm always reviewing, right? Looking for improvement. Two things standing out to me. Number one is what I was describing earlier. I am pressing the sell button too often, right? Because you could just look at your data. How many shorts are you taking? How many longs are you taking, right? I'm pressing the sell button too often because I'm just too far skewed to the short side. I don't like to have a really one-directional trade setup, and especially not in a bullish market on a U.S. indice. And what confirms that is I am losing more short trades than I am winning when looking at long trades, right? Now, it's not a nice even distribution, so there could be a little bit of a skew there. But what that's telling me is I should be a little bit more cautious looking to hit the sell button, and I should be a little bit less cautious, a little bit more decisive, and ready to hit that long button, right? I do trade from the extremes here on ES, and as we crack highs, right, I'm often looking for shorts back down towards VWAP, so that's where a lot of this comes from in somewhat of a trending market. But I do try to understand the market that we're in, look at my data, look at what's working, what's not working, especially what's not working. And if I say, hey, what you're taking double the amount of shorts that you're taking versus longs, and you're losing far more often on shorts, taking full stop outs than you are on longs, you got a much higher hit rate. That's showing you something. Data is not going to lie to you, right? It does. You got to be cautious of the sample size that you're looking at, right? How many trades are you actually looking at? What type of market conditions are we looking at these results in? But I think that could be helpful. So that's one that I'm taking note of. And two is I've been really quick to drag my stop loss into profit aggressively, which I still want to do, but really aggressively in these straight to funded Sim Pro accounts that have an intraday trailing drawdown. Like I've talked about before, I have not traded accounts at all with an intraday trailing drawdown. This is literally the first batch. And my way of trying to work with that and not end up on the wrong side of that, allowing trades to move into profit, was to drag really aggressively into profit, right? Not allowing trades to come back on me. And that works. But in doing that, I've clipped a lot of trades that would have continued in my direction after pulling back on me, all the way down towards a take profit. And then I have realized full stop outs. So what I found is I got to back off that a little bit, find a little bit more of a balance with that trade management. And for me right now, that means not choking up on them so much. Not going to break even, allowing them to move in profit and then back down on me. And that, again, that just could be something that is difficult for me and my entries and my style. But I'm going to try to make that work. But what I'm recognizing is, I can't take full stop outs and then have many very, very small profits, and then have a lot of those trades continue in my direction. You still have to be cautious. You can't let, a trade pump and then all of a sudden a Trump tweet comes out. You got your original stop loss in, you ran that thing way into profit, max loss limit trails up with you, and then it comes all the way back. But there's a balance in there. So I've been too aggressive with that, trying to be too cautious there. So those are kind of two improvements, right? I like to talk about that stuff because I think it'd be helpful, just how you kind of create that iterative process of review, finding what's working well and what's not working. Those are two things that are room for improvement. Two things that are room for improvement. One thing that is working well that I've found as well is more continuation style trades, right? A little bit more discretion with my entry. Oftentimes I get a really good read on a continuation style play. If I don't have a zone hit, I don't have a zone hit, but I get a really, really good read on volume and price action market structure, and I hesitate on a continuation play because I don't have a beautiful way to structure risk. I could act a little bit quicker in some of those situations and put that risk on, allow those trades to play out. So that's the thought process, guys. Wolf, good morning. What's up? Scott, hey, howdy, what's going on? Aaron, what's up? Ralph, what's up again? Oh, no, I didn't say what's up. What's up, Ralph? What's going on, guys? Luca, what's going on? Nate, good morning. Christy, good morning. Andrew, good morning. What is happening, chat? AVS Phoenix, what is up? Greetings from Colombia. What's happening? What's happening, guys? Yeah. So watching this market start to sell off, but wanted to share some thoughts. These markets have been tough, man. Markets have been tough for me. More personally, I've overloaded myself with way too many different accounts and too many different platforms, too many different places, and that's been a challenge. So trying to condense some of that, but on the trading specific stuff, which I think could be more helpful to talk about maybe than just like an individual situation and what might not be working for you or working for you. I think trade management, is always something that we could be paying attention to. Direction, right? So you can review that stuff, right? I would encourage you to do that. Review your trades. Data is not going to lie to you. Again, I think you got to be cautious with trying to take a large sample size in, not just paying too much attention to what happened yesterday and the day before. We're very inclined to have that hindsight bias where we take a couple losing trades and we go, throw the strategy out the window, time to strategy hop. We need something new. This isn't working anymore. A little bit of drawdown, and then we start changing stuff. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about larger sample sizes, right? And small subtleties, right? Very small subtleties. I'm not talking about changing anything massive or adding something crazy, doing something completely different. I'm talking about maybe being a little bit cautious hitting the sell button because I'm smashing that a little bit too much. A little bit more eager to hit that buy button because I'm hesitating instead of hitting that. Trade management, right? Being a little bit wider with allowing the trade to breathe, right? The data shows that. How many trades do you choke up on, stop you out, and then continue in your direction? That type of a deal. But appreciate you guys hopping on. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Wild markets this morning. Should be interesting. Bottoming down here a little bit. Still a pretty negative CVD. I'm looking long, guys. Again, pretty obvious. I'd like to see. I'd like to see this long. The bottom can absolutely fall out today. I don't think that would be insane. Anything can happen, but I think we could easily pop right back up towards the 6350s on this bad boy. I would just love a long play down around this prior day high level, really below, down to the 10s. 6310s have a pretty nice stack lit up on Bookmap. Even the 6300s, if we came all the way back down to the lows of this overnight session, right? This consolidation right in here. Yeah, it's pretty volatile, so we could be looking for maybe a little bit wider of a stop and take profit today. Let's see what we're looking at on the 5. No, not crazy. Not crazy volatility. Not too crazy. Definitely some movement, but nothing insane. Randy, what's up? Let's go, fam. Good morning. Good morning, man. You got great energy, Randy. Scott, trusting your trades. I have the very same issue. Consistently second guess myself. Yep, Scott lost cable. Yeah, man. Florida tropical storm's crazy, man. Crazy. But yeah, I've watched and talked to a lot of traders. Well, let me back up. As we watch this come lower, guys, just because I'm going to yap a little bit, I'm looking for the prior day high and/or below, really down to the 6310s, if not lower, for a potential area for longs. I'm not going to jump right in when we get there. I'm going to look for a little bit of a reaction out of that area, but that's what I'm looking at. We could blast higher from here. We pulled down below VWAP. We're finding buyers. We could take off right back to the upside here. I could see it pulling back down farther, and my approach is to wait for these levels to be hit if I'm going to trade, on a pullback kind of from the extreme, right? Long as we've sold off. So that's my play so far. It's early, 9:53 a.m. Nothing crazy. We got all day. We've had wild movement this morning, so let's see what we can do for the first trade. But on that note, Scott, we talk about this. I was going to say I talk to a lot of traders. This is common. I don't know that it's extremely common, but I would say there's a spectrum, right? And traders fall typically towards one end of the extreme, either being more risk averse, more cautious, more likely to move stop to break even, less likely to hold trades into profit, less likely to continue trading after a small profit, right? That would all kind of be risk aversion tendencies, or the common kind of over risker, right? These guys are traditionally oversizing, over trading. They continue trading when they're in profit rather than stopping. They will hold trades all the way into profit and then all the way back to stop loss when they could have closed for a nice profit, right? And most traders find themselves towards one of those groups. Not everybody. Maybe you're dead set in the middle. But the traders that are on the more risk-averse side, a really common killer is looking to go stop loss to break even right away, immediately taking small profit right away. And when a trade moves against them, holding it all the way to the full loss. And I've found that in myself a lot, right? In the past especially. But I find that with a lot of traders, and if they look at all their trades, their entries are good, their read of the market's good, the tools they're using, all that stuff is fine. Their trade management is terrible. They are putting a stop loss and take profit in, and had they just not touched it at all, the trades would continue to take profit, and many of them would, and that would outweigh the full losses that they take. But instead, what they do is they take full losses on the trades that don't work. That's always going to happen. That's cool. But on the trades that start to work, they either choke up and stop themselves out at break even or near break even, or they immediately take a tiny profit as soon as it moves in their direction because they're fearful the market's going to take that profit away from them, right? So that type of risk aversion is deadly. You have to view risk as a tool. You have to put that risk on. You have to have losses and drawdown. That is part of trading. We can't operate without that. And if you're trying to, you're never going to be able to make yourself available for that profit, right? On the other end of the spectrum is another problem, right? Is I'm oversizing all the time. The thing's running in my direction. I'm greedy. I want more, more, more. I want to hit $5,000, $10,000 in a day. I'm not closing the trades ever, right? Or I'm moving take profit out, or they move all the way in my profit. I never drag stop loss up, if that's part of your approach. I continue trading after green trades and often run myself back down into the ground, versus the risk aversion guys and gals, which are, I struggle to take a second setup, right? Maybe I take one small win, I see another beautiful setup, but all I can think about is I'm going to lose this next one and then I'll be red, and I don't want to do that. Or I've already taken one small loss and now I don't want to trade anymore because I don't want to make it worse. So, I would say probably more fall into that over-risking category, right? We're just usually way too eager and we have crazy expectations. But myself and a lot of, I think it comes, I don't know if it comes from this, but a lot of traders that are older, traders that have kind of, maybe they do have capital, they have a respect for money, they've made it out of tough situations and that money means something to them. They can have these good risk controls in certain areas, but it can choke you out. It could be a death sentence, right? You never let those trades run. You never allow those winners to actually be winners. You're constantly taking small, tiny profit and then full stop outs. So try to identify which side you're on, right? Try to identify where your problems come in. When you start to have issues, review your trades. What are you doing, right? That's a huge piece. What you do after you put the trade on is equal to, if not more important, than what you do before you put the trade on. What you do before is extremely important. What's your sizing? Where's the stop loss going? Where's the take profit going? Did you wait patiently? All that stuff. But you can mismanage a fantastic setup every single day of the week and end consistently red if you jack it up with trade management. So I think as a beginner, and just to kind of what I wish I did earlier on, it was just not touch my trades. You just don't have the control yet. You don't have the emotional control. You don't have the read of the market. You don't have the experience. You're more than likely going to jack it up. So it's better to almost just set it and forget it, let it run. Take profit or stop loss. As you get more experience, as you have maybe a better read of the market, you want to be able to utilize some trade management, which is helpful, can be very helpful. You got to review. You got to continue to review, like I am doing, and I was talking about in the beginning of this session. If I find that over the last 50 trades, there were, 10 that I moved stop loss past break even, I got stopped for a small profit, and the thing ran in my direction rather than running to my stop loss, and there was only 2 that I choked up on, it stopped me out, and it continued to my stop loss, that would indicate I am not doing something as good as I could. I got to back off doing that. I have to wait longer. I have to not do it at all, right? I have to give it more room when I choke up, multiple different things to do. So that's just review. That's just looking at your data specifically to you. So trading can be as simple as that. It really is. You first off, review, right? Do a little bit of just looking at what's going on. End of the day, end of the week, whatever, end of the month, however you want to do it. Journaling, basic shit, excuse my language, can be extremely basic. And then use that. What's happening, right? A lot of times it's hard to make those adjustments because we're doing something, because that's our personality, that's our belief system, right? There's some underlying drivers there. And oftentimes what we're doing is wrong. We're hardwired to do the wrong stuff in these markets. Watching this bad boy pull off. So that's my yap session. It's my yap session here. It's the common stuff. None of this is groundbreaking. This is the common stuff that you hear and you read in all the books, right? What do most people struggle to do? They struggle to hold their winners. What do most people do? They hold their losers, hoping that it comes back on them, right? You got to flip that on its head. I've done that. Did that a lot early on, man. A lot. And I'm not saying I haven't gotten over risky also, but again, both ends of that spectrum are a danger zone, If you never stop yourself out, if you never take profit, you don't have any exit plan, you're constantly, running trades into profit and then back down, or you never stop trading when you're green. You don't just wrap it up. You take two winning trades and you go, oh man, I got it all figured out. I'm overconfident. I'm just going to, start sending it. Now it's time to leverage up. You take 2 nice wins, and then on the third trade, you go quadruple the size, right? And you go DLL. That's a problem, right? It's a different kind of problem. Plenty of those traders out there also. So, but be aware, be self-aware, be honest with yourself, right? Maybe a little bit of journaling. You got to write some stuff down on a piece of paper. You know, what do I feel when I'm trading? What am I thinking? How does this stuff start to work out? Become really, really self-aware. Identify your weak points, identify your strengths, control those weak points, play into your strengths. Create a trade management style around the way that you trade and how to improve from there, right? That's what you can do. So that's my 2 cents. And again, I'm talking in terms of what I'm doing right now myself to improve. This is the process that I attempt to utilize to improve. Finding some buyers down here, man. Finding some buyers down here. Didn't get my level hit. The 315s now have a pretty nice stack. I gotta wait for it, guys. This looks like some buyers are trying it, but I'm gonna have to wait for this one. "100% me, I move, break even, or close trades way too quickly. Never let winners run." Yep. There's also a huge difference. From the 30-year-old me and now the 50-year-old. My patience is just gone. Yeah. Cool. Made a decent 300 on MNQ. Yeah, I hear that, Scott. Very nice. Very nice, Wolf. Very nice. Yeah, you got to be patient. Patience pays in these markets. It's tough. It's tough with prop firms, right? It's everybody struggles with something different, right? There's an interesting dynamic for guys that have a little bit of money with how cheap prop firms are. They can kind of be just hard to respect, right? Find yourself constantly just wanting to work towards, making it worth your while, and you trade kind of crazy or aggressively. So I'm just watching this on Bookmap, man. We got a little bit of buyer stepping in here. Like I talked about, want to give myself a little bit more freedom to apply some discretion to my entries. But this one is a from the extreme style trade, right? The extreme, at least that I'm looking at, and it's not that I don't have a beautiful way to structure risk. I don't have any good way to structure risk. I'd need the stop super wide. We might not come down here, but I think if you're short holding on to this bad boy, it looks pretty good, honestly. I'm going to wait to see what happens as we come down into these 15s. Again, I've been watching the 10s for a level of interest, but we could really start to break right down through towards that overnight low level. Here we go, continuing lower. Yeah, I'm going to be looking off of the 63.10s on this one for at least to pull back up towards VWAP. Maybe we do sell off today. We get really, here we go, right back to prior day high, filled some liquidity there. Maybe we get really aggressive flipping this candle, this daily candle. We erase like a lot of this. We pull back on it. But even if we do that, I think a crack back up here, back towards the 63.30s is not a bad play. Let's see. Didn't get my 10s hit. Yeah, I'm going to wait for these orders to fill. Too much liquidity down below price. But we got some buyers here again. We really were finding some down here. This was a quick crack down. Let's see if we can get one more nice knife out of this thing. Right off a prior day high. Yep. Very, very simple, simple play there. Buyers right off that prior day high. Dang, man. Didn't get my 310s. Yeah, my 6310s. Let's see. Let's see if we get a crack down or we start to get follow through back towards VWAP on this. All right, let's see. Buyer stepping in on this bad boy. Nice. Wolf made some money, done for the day. Very nice. All right, let's see what happens on this pullback here, guys. This pullback down. Again, I'm interested. I was really interested off of the 6310s. We have some decent buying pressure step right in here. Um, mm, Not going to allow me to get a stop where I want to get up here. But we might not pull much further back down than this. This is looking interesting up here off of prior day high. CVD picked right back up. I'm seeing quite a bit of buyers attempt to prop this thing up. I think if we don't sell off, we can start pushing higher from here. Uh-oh. Andrew, Trump, Fed should cut rates by 3 points, very low inflation, $1 trillion in a year. Got Trump talking. That could be a problem. Yeah, this looks like buyers don't want to let this thing drive lower. Damn, man. Friday high gonna hold it. I'm gonna look. I gotta wait. I gotta wait for one more. If we take off from here back to VWAP, man, this is gonna have looked really good on getting bought right back up after a little dip lower, failing to continue down through this level. But I just don't like this for a stop. It would just be something like this. It'd be just right below this low, right? You know, you could run something like that. Start trying it like that. It's not a bad play, but I'm looking for another dip lower. Buyers to hold it. Oh, even stronger CVD now. Yeah. Not off my damn levels, man. Not off my damn levels. What time was this? 10:04. Yep, that was a turn in cumulative volume delta right at 10:04, right at that low. Let's see what we get out of this one. I'm gonna be stuck watching it for now. See if we don't just pull back and then sell right back off. But that looked pretty good coming out of that low. Didn't get the 310s, 5 points lower. A little bit more of a wick down and then a pull back up like that, and I'm in. This was kind of second opportunity. We wicked lower right here and then started to come right back up on a nice jump in CVD, and that was a pretty good indication. You know, here was the trade I was just framing, this type of idea. You know, stop loss right below the low, paying for a 1-to-1. Wait, watching the markets again for me. 2 minute, 2 minute bearish order block coming right through. There we go, Wolf. Yeah, still looking long on this. Got close to an area where I was looking to get involved. We did find buyers there. Talked about getting a little bit more aggressive, hitting that buy button, but haven't been able to cultivate that just yet today. Not just off that prior day low level. That gave a nice indication that buyers were going to attempt to step back in there. They did. I'll show you guys this on Bookmap where that really started to shift nicely. Here we go, right back up to VWAP. Yep. Yep. Nothing for me to do now. Nothing but hanging tight. Nothing but hanging tight. Yeah, I'm gonna show you guys this on Bookmap. This one's frustrating to watch. Here we go. Here we go. This here's we're selling off, selling off, selling off, right? You can see down on the bottom a nice, let me zoom in a little bit, a nice declining cumulative volume delta, right? We did have orders at the 315s down here, right? Right as we started to come back into that 315s, those filled, that was our prior day high area. And what happened? We not only started to bounce up in price, but we started to see a jump in cumulative volume delta. Saw some decent buyers outweighing sellers on here. The one that really could have got me in was as that's rising, right, on some nice rising price, we wicked lower real quick and we have buyers step right back in, really right back in. What was this off of, like the 318s? Is that the right spot? Yeah. Yep. Nice little jump there, and then what do we got? Some continuation to the upside. So this one could have just been a play with a stop right below the low to say we're either going to continue to the upside from here or we're not. We're going to continue lower, and I'm wrong. And that would have been a decent play to the upside. We are selling right back off now on this. I'm still looking long on it. That's my play, but that one's pretty close to a missed long with a tight stop. Here's what I'm looking at to the downside, calling out the 310s, right? Got some liquidity down here. Now, I don't know if we go and fill this, but it's been sitting on the book. 311s, 310s, got moved around a little bit early in the session. I don't know if we go and fill this, but it's looking, that's looking pretty tasty to the downside, for lack of a better term. And then if we start to push back up, we do have plenty to the upside to go and grab. So selling back off on this, selling back off. Right back down to the top end of this area of high volume, right over here on the candlestick chart. Let's see if we find buyers right out of this area. Do we come back down through this low, man? I'm waiting for it, guys. I'm not gonna long it from down here. We obviously found some buyers, right? We were knifing lower all morning. We found some buyers down here off a prior day high. I'm gonna stick to my guns on this one. I know I'm not gonna be happy. I'm not gonna be happy missing it. I'm not gonna be happy taking an L, but I know I'm really not gonna be happy if I get long on this thing, throw a stop down around these 310s and take the L. I just know I'm not going to be super stoked on that. So I'm gonna wait. I think this is potential for one more dip lower, but we got buyers stepping in off these lows, so not a bad spot for a buy at all. Stop below this low of session, and maybe that's all we're gonna get to do today. We're getting ready to push higher on this right now. Dip down to this area of high volume. The 320s held, 6320s. I'm gonna wait for it. I'm gonna wait for it and risk missing it. I'd prefer to just put more risk on and send it on a really nice opportunity rather than this one. This is not bad, but I think we could potentially just get one more dip lower, and I just don't like a stop right below this on a push back up. Like I said, want to get faster hitting the long button, the buy button, and on continuation trades, and here I am not doing that. This was my opportunity back over here. Like I said, this was definitely my opportunity back over here to run this bad boy a little bit higher. So, we'll see what we get. We'll see what we get, chat. Was hoping with yeah, I was hoping for a stronger retest before it moved back to this area. Had an order sat at 17, one missed. Would have been nice. Yep. Silver boat, like to call it more appropriately. I like to call it more appropriately as BS. Yeah. Why I'm inclining to the downside. ES would maybe stay flat or go down. So Wolf, you're looking at ES going down. I've never thought of that. Juan, what if you put a limit order down there in case it does hit? Yeah, I'm not as much of a fan of using limit orders right at these areas, Juan. I want to wait for it to get there, see a split second of reaction, and then look to jump in. Another reason that I'm just cautious of using limit orders at all in these markets is because anytime Trump makes a comment or somebody tweets something, oftentimes it can just send the market rapidly ripping in one direction. And if I'm, let's say, sitting right here waiting for these 310s to get hit, but right now, Trump says we hate China or I don't know, whatever geopolitical thing happens and we knife through that level, I'm not filled long, right? I go, wow, insane volatility. I'm going to wait a minute. My thesis is I'd like to be long around that area. And then the very, very small amount of confirmation that I might wait for is just we hesitate there for a second. We crack through it, but we don't immediately just blow through it, right? I give it a split second, and maybe that does mean a worse fill, right? Because maybe we bounce really aggressively, we start to pull back up. But it saves me from being with a limit order on the wrong side of a geopolitical comment, that type of deal. But there's nothing wrong with using limit orders. You can get real nice fills with them for those two reasons. Caution because I want to wait to see what happens when we get there. Again, very, very small. I'm not waiting for a double bottom or some candlestick pattern, an engulfing bar, none of that stuff. But I am going to wait just for a split second to see what happens when we get down there. CVD holds up. We get some buyers that start to try to hold that level at least for a split second. But even more so than that, I've now just been trading through so many of these immediate pump or immediate knife to the downside out of complete nowhere, blowing through, disrespecting everything on the chart, everything on Bookmap by a long shot. And I'd prefer not to have a limit order in for one of those situations. If I'm already in the trade, there's nothing I could do about it, right? I got risk on. But if I start throwing limit orders on my chart, now I have this potential risk on at all times, right? So you kind of expose yourself to being on the wrong side of one of those, right? Because, we typically just pump or dump very quickly. And a limit order, is going to fill along as we're moving lower or fill a short as we're moving higher. It's not going to be great for that situation for the most part, right? Maybe we wick down there on something that somebody says and we pop right back up. But that's the thought process, Juan. Let's see. So looks like we could want to come lower. Double bottoms and all that are retail BS. Use fair value gaps and order blocks. That's the holy grail of trade. Yeah, here we go with the trolls. That's the holy grail of trading for people searching for. It's hidden in plain sight. Yeah, yep. Listen, I think anything can work, right? Whatever, and if it helps you to classify a specific candlestick pattern or chart pattern, right? A specific candlestick bar on a specific time frame, and that helps you stay consistent, then sure, go for that. Here we go as we start to come lower. Yeah, so again, guys, I'm going to be watching this level to the downside, looking to potentially jump in. Now, we could break this and aggressively move lower down to the 300s. That's our overnight low level. We might not check this at all, but I'd love to see this fill. It would at least give me some indication that we might find buyers here and bounce. If we did that, it would be a nice double bottom wolf. If we just continue lower and start blasting, all the way down through the 300s, I think I'm just dead wrong, and we're going to start selling off. We could be headed down even lower, for a pretty gnarly move to the downside. So I'm watching this as we continue to sell off here. Again, I'm going to be cautious. I'm not going to jump right in. I'm going to watch what happens there for a couple seconds. But I wouldn't mind a dip down below that level for a real aggressive entry. It would allow me to get a stop loss, down below those 300s, where if we did dip all the way down there, I'd still be in long. Oh, excuse me. What you got for me, ES? What's up, guys? What's going on? I feel the same, Zach, for the last 3 days. Decided to switch back to micro YM and now US 30. I like Loan's idea of using YM chart to trade ES. Dude, I was trolling. Though ES has an indication of YM. Yeah, using the correlated US indices, or just all the US indices and the Mag 7 is a very popular approach, guys. There's nothing wrong with that. For me personally, I didn't find a lot of success doing that. I found it was just a lot of information to process. Sometimes it would work out great. Sometimes it would work out horribly, right? Where I'd be just, for example, YM would be selling off super aggressively, and ES would be holding, and I'd be shorting the hell out of ES, and it just would never drop, right? These types of things. But if you can process that information, I think it's probably more common to pay attention to those markets, right? Like I've had multiple traders on, to hang out on my stream, trade live. Almost all of them do utilize, if they're trading NQ, they're going to look at ES and YM and maybe the Mag 7 and stuff like that, right? A lot of them do that. For me, this is what I got on the right-hand side of my screen, right? I got Bookmap. So I can only process so much at one time, right? So if I'm looking at Bookmap and volume and order flow, and I also have YM, NQ, the Mag 7, right? I'm watching what NVIDIA is doing. It can just be a lot. It could be a lot to take in. Information overload, yeah. And, maybe that is good for you, right? And you can process that well. But for me, it would end up with oftentimes a lot of just confusion. I wouldn't have a clear spot on my chart that I was looking at, or just an unhealthy bias. Like I would be so convinced that we were going to get a move out of NQ, for example, based on what ES and YM were doing, and I would really push it. And when I looked back, I'm like, nothing on NQ was showing me that I should have been like, selling really harshly here, right? I was just, creating a hell of a bias off of these other charts, and it just wasn't very healthy. So, but again, you find what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and you kind of lean into that, or you eliminate a little bit. So I do have, I do know what's going on with NQ nowadays, only because I'm looking to trade it in pre-market and maybe London with you guys. I have the NQ book map up just so I could pay a little bit more attention to what that looks like, get a feel for that. So I can swap back and forth, right here and take a look like I just did. But that's, that's pretty much, that's mainly just so I can get a feel for what this chart looks like, because it's so different. It's just very different, way that it functions. At least I find, than ES over here. So let's see what we got, ES. Appreciate you guys hopping on. You know the drill. Smash like, smash subscribe if you want to. You don't have to do anything, as we are watching this market attempt to come lower here. Yeah, I'm going to try it. I mean, we could knife lower, man. This thing could drop. It looks like we want to break out to the downside for now. I'm looking at a wick below. We saw buyers defend this. I'm looking at one wick below. Take everybody out to start getting long back towards VWAP first, and then potentially find some buyers. But let's see what happens as we come through this level right here. Again, 6300s could be a problem. It's not too much in the book down below that, but there is an area of high volume down there. So here we go. Didn't hit the 10s. Didn't fill that liquidity, but buyer stepped right back in, brought it back to prior day high. Right back up to the 15s. This market, man. This market, man. So I don't like the way this is setting up as much. This looks like the buy from here. We're not going to come through the 10s. We come back down lower through this. I don't think that we bounce. Fucking ES, man. Yeah, I'm gonna have to wait on this. I think this is a buy from up here, or a wait. We pulled right back up off that level. If we do that and then we come through this really harshly, I don't think that we bounce here. It's just different structure. That's a different pattern. Do I want to long it from down here? Kinda. This is gonna be an interesting one. I'm getting long on this, guys. I'm long now. I'm getting long on this, and I'm going stop loss at the stop loss pretty tight. Stop loss of $450 worth of risk on this. 63.07 and 3/4. If we come through this level, we didn't get the bounce we didn't get a fill of this and then a bounce. We came right into it. Buyers held it up, and we started to just bounce right here after sweeping prior day low and sweeping the low of this session. We come through this. I think we're just absolutely selling off. I was waiting for a long. We're not going to get that at any point coming up quickly, so I'm going to try it long from down here. We come through this low here aggressively, right? I think we're headed down to the 6,300s, if not lower. Coming to just take everybody out and just continue lower. So I'm going to try it from up here. I don't think it's a bad opportunity to look long on this back up towards VWAP. So that's my play. Again, I'm going stop loss pretty tight down below this level, down below these 310s. Would allow for it to fill. It would keep me in if we did come down here and just fill this level. If we cracked a whole lot lower, I would be out. But that's gonna be my play here. We can watch it on Bookmap. But I'm long one, 63, 16 and 3/4. Stop at 63.07 and 3/4. Let me make it. Hang on one second. I'm adjusting stop. Yeah, I'm just gonna make it a normal risk trade. 63.06 and 3/4. And either going to be running back up towards VWAP to the upside, watching this thing start to crack back up to this area of high volume, or continuing lower. But so far, been drifting lower. Tested this level, watched buyers try to step back in off these 310s really aggressively. The way that we bounced there, 7.25 points off of that low. We come through this again like it looks like we're going to. I don't have a trade. So I'm going to put the risk on, take my opportunity, take a trade with you guys, and take an L or get some motion out of this bad boy. But we come through that low again. The trade's invalidated, right? Yeah, here we go. Here we go to the downside. Yep. Well, got more aggressive hitting my long button, more aggressive on the continuation play like I wanted to. Waited patiently to see if we were going to get held up on these 6310s. Didn't wait for them to get filled after we saw that type of volume coming out of this area. They fill here again after a bounce like that, and we just continue lower. I'm just not as interested in the longs. I would have to wait for way more structure to start to form and make this thing look bullish. So we'll see. We shall see. What's up, chat? Let's see. There's a million things in here. Answer, yeah, someone was asking about the giveaway. Let me scroll all the way back up. How to win a funded account. Random days, random times on the stream, guys. Random days, random times. I drop a form, and everybody gets a chance to fill that out. Yeah, that's the answer. Games X player. Yeah, a lot of emojis out of that person. It's funny. You tried. Funny. Funny. But in this bad boy, seeing if we can't hold these 310s, doesn't look like it just yet. Coming down to test them again. Buyers tried it, but this looks like we're just going to keep drifting lower. We could get a really aggressive knife out of this bad boy, but not just yet. I'll be right back, guys. Going to grab some water. Hang tight. All right, chat, how'd the chair do? Let's see. We didn't go and grab that just yet. Didn't go and grab that just yet. Oh, damn it. I forgot my water, guys. There we go. I'm back. Now we're going to break the 310s. Okay, beautiful. Oh, what's up, chat? What's happening? Hit the like button. Yeah. Wolf, no, I saw you answer, Wolf. Scott says that. There we go. Kobe, what's up? Good morning, guys. Good morning. Luna Trades, what's happening, man? What's going on? What is going on? Watching this market grind lower. Maybe a wick down. Yeah, doesn't look like it's going to play very nice with me on this one, guys. But, yeah, there's the 310s. Do we get buyers right here? CVD dropped off. Pretty aggressive to the downside. Let's see what's NQ doing on Bookmap. Got a little bit lower on NQ to go maybe grab. 120s. Yeah, where do we go today? We just sell off after that insane push to the upside? Is that going to be the play? It's just going to be hang out, continue to grind higher, big, beautiful pump on news, and here we go, just straight to the downside. It's looking like it. Looking like it. Yeah, last ditch. These orders filled. We'll see if we can't get some buyers coming out of this level. Volume filled there, but dropping off on the CVD. No real buyer stepping in here. This doesn't look beautiful. Stop loss is below the level. Gonna see if we can't attempt to run it back up to the upside, but this doesn't look good. This looks like it could be 300s and below. Again, stop loss is where it was to allow this to come down and test this level. Buyer's gonna try it. Not getting any help out of the CVD here. So, for me, the way that I read this, if we are starting to push back up like we just were coming out of a level, I want to see this start to jump really quickly, right? Kind of like what we saw right over here off the low. And then as we started to push up higher, right? A nice growing cumulative volume delta. This is indicating the difference between buy and sell volume, right? So if price is starting to rise, I want to see that buyers start to outweigh sellers by way of volume, right? As well as price starting to move up. We don't get that. It could just be that pullback up. So here we go. Not jumping higher, right? This is going to be interesting to watch. But price starting to pop. Ooh, there we go. We got some buyers stepping right back in at those 310s. Okay. Let's see what we could do here. Let's see what we could do here. Let's see. Can use this account BGF for crypto trading, I think. Still playing with demo live on nice. What's going on? Gonna listen in, hit a workout. Let's go. Lift. This chart I don't understand. What's up, GameX player? So this is Bookmap, right? It's my favorite order flow tool. Let me drop the link in the chat before I start yapping about it. Hang tight, peeps. This is my LinkedIn Bookmap. This is my favorite order flow tool. What we're looking at here, real quick. These are price levels here on ES. That's what we're looking at, right? This is the current ES contract. These are price levels, and these are quantity of orders on the book. This is just a basic traditional depth of market. Well, maybe not a traditional depth of market, right? Because usually you have buy and sell on one side or the other. But this is essentially a current order book where we have quantity of orders resting at specific price levels during the specific time of the day, right? Everything to the left of this, excuse me, is a heat map. And it's just displaying this depth of market in real time right here, lighting up areas where we have more orders on the book. Like right here, we have 166 orders, sell side, sitting at 63.25. That's lit up like a Christmas tree. And it's dark over here. We don't have as many orders, right? That's all that Bookmap does. You can get this information technically from a traditional depth of market, not using Bookmap, not using any fancy order flow data. To the left of that, we have, this is price, right? This is your current price level. It shows it in a best bid, best ask. Instead of having candlesticks, it's just that best bid and best ask line chart. And we have volume bubbles. Volume bubbles overlaying that price, showing us where we have high volume and low volume being traded. That's essentially what we're looking at here. That's the core. To the right-hand side, we got some volume profiles. Not that big of a deal. I don't pay too much attention to these Bookmap volume profiles. Down on the bottom is cumulative volume delta. Again, you don't need Bookmap specifically to get delta, but cumulative volume delta is exactly what it sounds like. Based on wherever you're anchoring a point, and in this case, when I'm starting Bookmap, it loads an hour of data ahead of it. I have a volume delta, right? Giving me the difference between buy and sell volume. So if I'm looking for price to go up and price is continuing to the upside, maybe I would like to see an increasing cumulative volume delta. Right now, this is working against me in my trade. We are continuing to find a lot of sell volume relative to buying volume right here, right now. And cumulative volume delta is not blasting to the upside. Conversely, it's continuing lower. So what do I think is likely to happen based on this? Just pattern recognition of what I've seen happen in the past. Maybe we go down and tag these 6300s even lower below that, right? What do I think? How do I utilize this? If we have a lot of buy orders down below price, the way that we did at 63.10, I think that we're likely to come down and fill these orders, potentially, right? If we are already trending to the downside. If this is the last nice stack of orders on the book, maybe before we get down to the 6300s and not a whole lot down below that, I think potentially these buy orders act as support. We fill these and continue the upside. What has happened so far is that we fill these and continue the upside, right? I got long on the way back up here because after bouncing here a couple times, not coming down to fill it, I felt this might act as support altogether and we might not have strong enough sellers to come down and fill this, right? Basic pattern recognition is a way to say we ran into a wall here and I've seen this happen before. I think this is going to happen again, potentially, right? I apply a really dumb guy approach to Bookmap and order flow. I'm not very advanced with it. More of it for me is I like to look at the color of it and the way everything's laid out to say, ooh, look, we got some orders up there down there at 63.10. I think that might act like some support. I think we're likely to go fill those and then maybe catch a bounce out of there. Maybe it's a different area, a different level than what's on my chart just by way of market structure and price action like today it was. So that's what we're looking at here. Takes a while to get used to. I think like anything else, it takes a while to just get comfortable with, to start to recognize some patterns. It does look different day to day. You could deal with spoofing, manipulation, different types of things, orders coming on and off the book. But that's kind of my basic overview of Bookmap. If you want to check it out, links in the description. Links in the chat, excuse me. You missed a really nice promo for 4th of July. But this is a paid software and then to pay for level 2 data. I'm partnered. I'm affiliated with Bookmap. I can't be unbiased if I stand to make money, which I do. Important for me to note that as well. And you can hear the tone in my voice. I'm just not happy about the way this one is looking. Again, as we're coming back up and starting to, kind of chop around here, dropping CVD. This looks like sellers are in store. I'm leaving my stop where it is, but I think we're going to go and get that ran right now as we're coming lower with some aggressive selling. You can see it in cumulative volume delta. Here it is, still in by the skin of my teeth. Still in by the skin of my teeth. Didn't get the order filled call out just yet. But this looks like it's going to be a stop. Unfortunately, I think we're headed down to the 6300s. Yep, there it is. I think we're headed down to the 6300s, potentially lower, maybe the 295s. But we didn't get the bounce that I would have liked to see out of these 310s. Entry on the way back up, not super happy about it. I'd still be in if I jumped in right around those 310s. But at this point, again, we don't hold this level. I think we're coming lower, which we're doing right now. That's the overview. That's the overview. Just got Bookmap last week. Very useful. Yeah, Bookmap's sweet. How many trades I take in a day? It depends. Typically not a zillion, though. You can check out the live sessions, brother. I'm on here every dang day. You can watch it play out in real time. Bitcoin, the big sell. You get Bookmap for free, data and all, if you have a funded account with TTT. Cool. Very nice. Yeah, guys, unfortunately, a stop on this one, man. Haven't been having too much motion in these straight to funded pro accounts, honestly. Not super stoked about it, but part of it, taking my trades as they come. But it's been quite a few stops after quite a few wins. Part of the game. So I don't think I'm going to catch another trade on this. I'm going to watch what happens around these 300s. Maybe try something else down there, maybe, but you start to try to catch the bottom too many times. We're continuing to sell off. I don't think that is going to be the best play for me personally. So waited patiently, got my setup. Obviously, just continuing to blast lower, breaking and retesting the downside. This bullish move from pre-market, not going to continue to the upside. So I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to wrap it up right there. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys soon. I'm here live, 9:30 a.m. Eastern, almost every damn day. I'm not going to stream for London pre-market this week because I'm sick, feeling like trash. But probably next week we'll mix some pre-market streams in. We got multiple giveaways to give away later this week. Obviously, we didn't run one today, but we got 50K accounts to be given away later this week. Random days, random times. Smash like, smash subscribe, smash whatever you want. Don't do anything. You want to check out Bookmap, links in the chat. Talk to you guys soon. Remember, quick disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor. I don't provide financial advice. Nothing you see or hear from me is a suggestion or recommendation to do anything at all. Trading's risky. Most traders lose money. Do your own research. Make your own trading decisions. Read CFTC Rule 4.41 on simulated trading, which is what this is. Even if funded prop from accounts, and the affiliate and partnership disclaimer that says I stand to make money from links and codes in my content, like Top 1 Futures, code RDF, Bookmap, and others. Talk to you guys soon. Hope you have an awesome rest of your trading day.